So, hello everyone, welcome back to episode 100, Talk of Fame podcast with your host, Kylie Montigney. I'm so excited to have on actor Holden Hagelberger. Thanks so much for coming on, Holden.
Hi, I'm so
Uh,
happy to be on here.
Thanks so much for coming on. So, what inspired you to be in the acting scene?
Yeah, so I saw the School of Rock National Tour when it came to Houston a couple of years ago. And, seeing those kids on that stage, I just knew I was like, you know what, this is something I want to try out. So there was a local community theater called Inspiration Stage. They were doing a musical version of Madagascar, the movie. And I showed up to the audition. I sang a song. I danced to I Like to Move It. Um, and then the next day, the castles came out, and seeing my name next to Lulu Lemur, which had one line and one solo in a little song, I don't know, just seeing my name on that cast list, I was like, this is definitely something I want to pursue as a career.
I love that. Like, was that your first ever role?
That was my first ever thing that I auditioned for, so I was freaking out, I was just freaking out in the audition because I'd never done anything like that before. And then it during the during the show, it was just definitely something that I enjoyed, and I just wanted to continue doing that.
Like, how old were you, like, when you got your first role?
I was 8 years old.
Oh my gosh, you're 8 years old?
Yeah, I was 8 years old, and then I'm still doing theater, musical theater, still auditioning. At 14, 6 years later. So it's definitely
That's
something
crazy.
that I enjoy.
That's crazy. And so, like you said, like when you started at age of 8, like you have performed in over like 30 productions for your local community. Like, how
Yeah.
did you kind of manage to kind of do over 30 productions at such a young age?
Well, I really enjoyed being with my friends, and I also really enjoyed having that difficulty of playing different characters every single show. And also, genuinely, I like performing for audiences. I like making people happy. I like seeing people, happy when they leave the theater or getting moved by a show that we do or by a piece. So, that's why I keep doing it, and that's why I've done so many productions there, was because their work is incredible, and I just like to tell stories and share messages to people that are seeing our show.
I love that. Like, have you ever had a moment when, like, after or before the show, when someone came up to you, you were like, "Oh my God, I was so moved by the show," or something like that?
Yeah, that happens quite, frequently, and it happens to everyone. Like people, especially during Trevor, it's such a beautiful piece, and it has such a beautiful story with it and a beautiful message. So we had people all the time come up to us and it's like, I can relate to that character. Thank you so much for telling this story. And having those people come up to us and saying those wonderful things, it just makes us realize that we are doing our jobs right. We are
Mhm.
telling a beautiful story.
For sure. And so you said like you played Trevor in Trevor the musical. Can you kind of tell
Yes.
us kind of more about your role in the musical itself?
Yeah. So, the musical is about a 13-year-old kid named Trevor who's in middle school, and he just wants to be himself, and unfortunately, he gets bullied for it. So throughout the show, you see him just try and become proud of who he really is, and throughout the story, you also see him find his people. So it's just about it's a story about acceptance, which I think it's a story that needs to be told right now, especially. So
Mhm.
it's a story that needs to be continue. It's a story that needs to be told continuously, and then getting into the character itself, like Trevor himself, it's such a hard character emotionally, mentally, physically, and vocally.
Mhm.
He sings the entire show. He dances more than half the show. So
Mhm.
it's and you're always he's on stage the entire time. So to get into that character, um it for auditions I had to do acting lessons and I had to do singing lessons and especially dancing lessons to get prepped for this audition. And then when I got Trevor, when I booked the job, throughout the rehearsal process, I had to get I had to get even more in depth with the character. And, that was even harder because then I just start pulling things from my real life, and that eventually got really difficult to deal with, to do that every single day. And so I had my family, I had the cast, I had the team, I had everyone around me that was just like, if you need to talk to someone, if you don't feel right about this thing, if you feel some sort of way about something, please tell us immediately, because this is a very hard role. This is a very it's a very hard emotional role, and just all of the above. It's a really hard
Mhm.
role to do. So they were like, if you ever need to talk to someone, we're here and we're always here to support you. And that felt really great.
That's amazing. Like, how did you kind of manage doing like performances basically every single day? Because I know for me, if I do like interviews and doing myself busy every single day, it's hard for me to manage, and it stresses me out. So I'm wondering, like, how do you kind of manage that?
Yeah, well, it was definitely harder than I would have ever expected, which, it's what I expect. I expected it to, to be hard, but it's hard but fun, I would say, especially during previews, because so during previews, which is like kind of like right before opening, we're still kind of changing things in the show. And throughout previews, we'd actually have to like get up early, get to the theater early during tech week, especially during previews, and do school. And then right after, we'd have to do rehearsals because we change things throughout the show and rehearse them. So, especially during previews, it was really difficult, but it was also really exciting because you
Mhm.
never know when you're arriving to the theater. You never know what's changing. You never know what stuff is taking out. You never know what songs are being put in. So, it was definitely a lot. Like during the rehearsal process, there was a certain number that was in the show originally, and then it got taken out, and then it got replaced by another number. So it was just left and right. We just didn't know what was gonna happen. We didn't know what stuff was gonna be taken out, and that was really exciting. But it was definitely really it was nerve-wracking because sometimes we'd
Mhm.
have to learn things the day of and then perform them. So it
Mhm.
was it was really really it was really exciting, but also very nerve-wracking for sure.
Is this show based off like New York, or is it based off of like your town in Texas?
um what do you mean by that?
Like for Trevor the Musical, it's kind of like you guys perform in like Texas, like New York. Like where do you guys usually perform?
Oh, we performed in New York. We performed right in Manhattan. We performed 42nd Street at Stage 42. That's where we performed in New York.
That's
Where
awesome.
we'll
And so, like,
probably be.
what was it like taping Trevor the Musical and finding out it was going to be on Disney Plus?
Whew, okay. Whew, okay. So we closed the show in December. And it was really upsetting. We were just all really sad. And then about like a month later, we got an email saying it would be filmed for streaming purposes. We had no clue what it was, but we were just happy that, we got to have a final performance, like a real final performance, and it got to be filmed. So
Mhm.
we'd have it in our lives forever. So, we film it. So it was, let me tell you about the filming process. We got there and we had 8 hours to relearn the show, restage the show, film it twice, and go home. We only had 8 hours to do that.
Oh my
We
gosh.
so we were freaking out the entire time. We were like, goodness, I don't know how we're gonna do this. And we were all just so nervous. And then after both of the runs, after we were leaving, we all gathered outside and we were like, that was our best show. Like, it truly was. It was the best show we ever had. You would think that we had rehearsals for a month,
Mhm.
prior to that. And we didn't. It was all in just not even a day. It was all just in 8 hours. And it was
Mhm.
insane. So we had no clue where it was going. Oh, seriously, no clue. And then a couple months later, um, we get a call. We get a freaking amazing phone call, and it goes, "So Trevor the Musical has been filmed to be put on Disney Plus." It's gonna be like I started freaking out when I heard the news because I'm like it was just insane that now
Mhm.
this beautiful story that it was told in New York, it closed a month later and then it got filmed and now it's gonna be all over the world.
Mhm.
We were just so excited. We were so happy to know that finally this beautiful story would be around the world. And now anyone could see it around the world.
Yeah, like did you ever picture it'll ever be on like a streaming platform, especially Disney Plus, like since it's so
Well,
big?
no, because it hadn't. We were really never expecting. We were never really we never really expected or we it wasn't in talks. Like we never
Mhm.
it was never like okay we might film this. Like no, it was always just it's going to be on stage and if it closes it closes. So we never expected when it closed to get another email saying it would be filmed for streaming purposes. So we were just confused but so excited and the cherry on top was finding out it was going to be on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
That was the best thing ever.
Mhm.
So, the thing, even though we miss, performing on stage, we feel we're happy that it closed. For a great reason that we didn't see
Mhm.
coming.
Yeah, like did you guys have like a live audience like you usually do during live
Yes, yeah,
shows?
yeah. So remember how I said we filmed it twice?
Yeah.
One time was actually with no audience, and then the other time was with a full audience. So it was super cool to finally have an audience back in the house one final time. Um, and we got to perform it. And I actually got to perform it in front of my friends and my family.
And so you guys like actually filmed your first cast recording while doing Trevor the musical, right? Like did
Uh,
you
so we filmed the cast recording, the cast album after it closed,
Mhm.
but my story's a little different.
Mhm.
So everyone else got COVID um earlier than I did. I got COVID around like a week later than everyone else did.
Mhm.
Meaning everyone else could go and film the cast recording with everyone. I had to film it alone.
Oh.
So here's the thing. It was me and my understudy that got it. My understudy and I. So, we couldn't film with everyone due to the risk of COVID and, we just couldn't spread it. That's not
Mhm.
okay. So we literally had to film. So he filmed earlier in the day and then he left and then I would go and film. And it was one of the most difficult but weirdly coolest things ever. So
Mhm.
in my mic, in my headphones, I was in this little cube or whatever, and I had my headphones on, and literally it would have these little snaps in it to like tell me when to sing, and then you would hear like the everyone else singing, like everyone else in the cast singing.
Mhm.
So we had to do a lot of starts and pauses, starts and stops because it's really difficult.
Mhm.
It's really difficult having to sing with people that aren't there,
Mhm.
and sometimes the vocals would go in and then out, and then you're like,
Mhm.
okay, where are we going? And then come in and out, and then it go silent, and you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the beats wouldn't, you wouldn't hear them, so then you'd be like, okay, when do I start? What's happening? So, it was a long day, of just redoing takes, redoing songs, but it was truly the funnest thing ever. And, if I could do it every day, I would.
Mhm. And so like what is like the hardest part for you as an actor?
There could be two answers. There could be two answers for that. I would say in Trevor, I would say it's definitely pulling things from your real life. Because I guess just reliving those memories was really it was saddening. And it
Mhm.
was a lot to go through, especially doing that every single day. Um, but one thing that help that was the support systems with my family, my friends, the cast. It was the team. I would say that that really helped. And then I would say currently as an actor, I would say the question, what's next?
Mhm.
Because truly as an actor, you never know what's going to be your next gig. You don't know
Mhm.
what's next. You just never know.
Yeah.
So honestly, what I say to that is just I keep auditioning. And I hope I get yet another cool phone call saying that I booked something else.
That's awesome. Like that's really like the hardest part about being in industries. Like you don't know what's next. Like where you feel
Yeah,
like, oh my God, what is going to happen in my future? I already had some cool roles and everything.
exactly.
And that's really the hardest part. And for me, I'm like, well, I'm doing something I love doing, but like, what am I going to do in the future? Instead of
Exactly.
making a podcast.
Yes. Well, that's exactly what I think about because I'm like because people just think that like, you book something and then like you're going to immediately get things. Like that's not you know, that's not how it works. You
Hmm.
will get something and then eventually you will start getting no's again and then you'll be wondering what's gonna happen. And
Hmm.
I will say I do have these thoughts. It's like is this meant for me? But then honestly, it's one of those things where like I don't let that get to me.
Hmm.
I always think about the present. I never think about, oh my gosh, what am I gonna get in the future? I've just come to learn that like you should always just think about the present and you should just enjoy every minute of something. That's what I learned.
100%. And so the final
Yeah.
question I have for you is what is some advice for people that are just kind of starting out as an actor that kind of want to make it out in the industry?
Okay. I would say, hmm. Okay.
I know it's kind of like a hard question, I know.
Yeah. I would say you're always auditioning. If you want to be an actor, um, don't give up on your dreams and be expected to get some no's. But there's always going to be that one yes that will
Hmm.
just, you're going to get that one yes that will just,
Hmm.
enlighten you. It'll start your career and you'll feel better than ever.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, just be yourself. Just be yourself. That's what anyone looks for. It's just be yourself. Be proud of who you are. Um, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. That's seriously the best advice. And
Thank you.
I just want
Yeah.
to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It absolutely
Of
means so much.
course.
It was so great talking with you.
It was so great to talk with you too. Oh my gosh, this was so fun. I loved it.
Thank you so much. And we'll definitely catch up soon. Thank you so
Of
much for
course.
coming on.
Bye.
Bye.